homesteaders. So I wanted to show you this. Do you see that green sticking out of the leaves right there? I actually just covered that up with a little bit more leaves because I wanted to add some more on top. Those are potatoes that I bought from the grocery store, and I noticed that they were getting a little bit soft. A couple of them were because I hadn't used them, and they had some eyes on them. So I just took them and threw them in my lasagna garden and covered them up with mulch and manure and leaves. And potatoes need at least 6 inches of stuff on top of them, so that's why I just added some more leaves because everything's getting beaten down from the rain. These are a couple of store-bought potatoes. 2 of them should grow. So each single potato, when you plant it and it sprouts like this, it should grow somewhere around 2 to 3. If it's really healthy in there, maybe 4 more potatoes from the single potato. So I planted 2 so I could get up to 8 out of them. So you see how pretty and green that is. You don't need to overwater these once you put them in because potatoes can rot really quickly under there since they're root vegetables. These are sweet potatoes, and these were sticking up a whole lot more. I just added some leaf coverage to it in order to bury them a little bit deeper and let them grow. I want to get some more sweet potato slips and put those in, but I just wanted to show, this is my lasagna garden. So this is the one that has a little bit of cardboard on it, a little bit of free manure, leaves, bunny droppings, free mulch that we got. Like, that's all it is. We didn't spend a ton of money on this high priced expensive fertilizer to go in here to grow these things. So I'm showing you that. There's my green onions, which some of them I planted after they had already started flowering, and so they're not as healthy as the ones that were younger. So there's one that was a little bit younger, and the green onion is looking a lot healthier. I actually have more potatoes under those leaves there. You can see a little bit of green kind of sticking up over there. There's my soaker hose that's gonna go in. There's my melons. They're coming up. There's a melon there. There's a melon there. Melon there. I wanted to show you too because I was actually out here also pulling weeds because it's rained a couple of times. So even though everything's set up on top of stuff, all kinds of stuff, you're gonna still get weeds. They volunteer, they fly on the wind. So like, here's a weed right here. You see this? This is not a happy weed. I don't want that in there with my okra, threatening the life of my okra. So I'm actually just gonna pull that, and look how easy that comes out when you have a raised bed. And it's cool right now. These are actually leaves that I cut off of my bean plants because they're like this. They're just getting a little yellowy down here. So I'm just pulling them off for the overall health of the plant and dropping them back in there because they're adding nitrogen back to the soil. I had a bean volunteer right there. So, and it looks like I've got some ants that have decided to make their homes in here. I'll put some peppermint essential oil, or purification essential oil are really good for gardens, for getting rid of ants if you have ants or pests in there. Here's another weed. Look, no issue in pulling. If you keep up with your weeds as they grow, it's so much easier than coming out here and trying to pull for like hours on end, and it's hot outside. Like, it's pretty now, so I'm out here pulling weeds. And you can see where my beans are already starting to wrap around there. I'm training them to grow along the trellis. So I'm just going to, I wish I had room to plant more. I want to do a bigger garden next year, but for now, this is what I have room for, is just a few bean plants here or there, a few okra. There's a zucchini there. And then down here are my little cucumbers and my melons, which will get huge when the time comes. So I don't really have that much room in this bed for much more. I might put something else right up front, I'm not sure. Over here is my mint that volunteered. Do not plant mint in your garden. Mint is an invasive plant, and it will come back every year and it will take over. So if you have a place like at the edge of your woods, if you have woods, or at the edge of your property where you don't mind it taking off and taking over, you can certainly plant it, because this is all from a mint plant that I planted 2 years ago that I thought died. And then it just, hello, it grew wild. Mint can be very easily transplanted too. So like I could actually pull one of those up and then start some new roots from that if I wanted to. I actually just handed some out not that long ago and I got it all the way up by the roots. Yeah, there we go. Got it by the roots. So if I wanted to move that somewhere else, I could transplant it somewhere else and it would grow perfectly healthy. As for now, I'm gonna just stick it right back in the dirt from whence it came. It smells great, makes great homemade mint chocolate chip ice cream. My dad's favorite is the mint chocolate chip ice cream that I make with mint. You can make mint tea, mint and watermelon make really good infused water together. I'm actually gonna go out here too and trim my tomatoes. So here's one of my great starters. I'm gonna just trim that. This is called a bare roots. So when you start something like this, see it looks dead, but look at that, there's life right there. This is called bare roots growing. So we started with the twigs, the bare roots, and the grapevine. This one's already winding its way around the fence. These are concords. And they're just taking off. They're doing very well over here. This little guy was a sadder bare root, but it's getting happier. It's getting happier. Let me take you over to my tomatoes. Okay, welcome to the tomatoes again. This is just a little something now that we've gotten. I have been coming out here about every other day, trimming the bottoms. I don't want the bottom parts, but I wanted to show you the suckers. These are called suckers because what they do is they suck life out of the main part of the tomato plant. This is a really big sucker right here. So that's going to be sucking energy from this branch right here, which will be a fruit-bearing branch. And this is just a pointless, non-fruit-bearing branch. But let me show you because it's already big. So I'm going to take it and clip it. What I could actually do is suckers have the ability to become another plant, which is why they actually suck the life out of that one, because it's almost like growing a whole nother plant on the plant. So you've got to keep these off. But what I could do is I could actually immerse that in a cup of water for a few days and it would start growing its own root system. So if I wanted another tomato plant exactly like this one, I could actually immerse this in water for a few days, the sucker, and get a whole nother root system from this plant. And I would actually end up with an all new tomato plant from this. And I may do that just to show you the video of how that looks and everything. But for now I'm coming out, you see there's another sucker right here. It's a pretty good sized sucker. That's a whole nother tomato plant there. So if you don't have a whole lot of money and you're just now buying tomato plants, if you cut these suckers off, determinate tomato plants have a limited lifespan anyway. So as long as you plant it within a certain amount of time before the next frost, they're going to live out their entire lives, whether you plant these now or whether you plant these in July or whatever. They just have to get enough rain to be able to hold them up. But I could put these in water and grow roots and plant them and they would be fine to live their entire lifespan before the next frost would come, and I would have 2 free new tomato plants. So, oh, let's see. There's a sucker right here. Then I need to take off any of them in these like crevices. That's what you're looking for, is anything in the crevices of the tomato plant. Those are what you do not need. And oh wow, this is actually getting really, really tall. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and cut off this very bottom branch. That one right there. Because it's getting tall enough to not need it anymore. Isn't that sad? But look, there's flowers. Hello, flowers. You guys go ahead and start growing. I'm gonna go over to this one. Look, my German greens are coming up. Oh, there's a weed. Look at that. Sometimes the birds come and I see bird poop on my tomatoes. So I know the birds are coming. They carry seed with them. Look how easy that came out. That's the joys of a raised bed, is how easy they are to maintain and take care of. So there's my black strawberry tomato was actually dying when I was growing it in its little like container. It's doing okay now that I've planted it. It's coming up. So there's my German greens, my latest ones that I buried, which are my early girl hybrids. Oh, it looks like one of them died. One of them didn't make it. That's okay. I'll just grow one of these suckers. There's my squash that I started a seed just like 5 days ago. Look at the size of this sucker right here. This is a big sucker. Right in the crevice where I don't want it to be. You see the size of that? That's not good. I don't want that sucker there. I'm gonna just take it and pull it off. And if I wanted to, there's another plant, right? I'm gonna pull off, I have some wilty leaves. I'm gonna pull off the wilty leaves. I'm gonna pull off another sucker. Check the bottom. I could really get rid of that whole bottom branch right there because it's kind of low. I'm gonna get rid of that bottom branch. Right now too, if I spot any fruit, I'm gonna cut the fruit off because I don't want it just yet. I want these things to be growing. There's another sucker. My rabbit will be happy. She loves the suckers. She doesn't mind them. There's another sucker there. Oh, look, here's some flowers. Hey, flowers, you guys are welcome. And I'm actually going, I think, to cut this branch here because it's kind of low. This is not going to hurt the plants. You've been watching me cut all along. None of my plants killed over and died from it. So, and it looks like I don't have any suckers there, but I have one right there. But look at that. There's my flowers coming up. Okay. I'm going to go do the same on all of these. I'm going to check for suckers, check for too low of branches, check for more growth. Now these are my heirlooms. So if I want to do, a suckers replanting, I would probably actually do it from my heirlooms instead of my hybrids, just because I'm more partial to my heirlooms than I am my hybrids. So I have a lot of low branches to cut off. I want these things to at least be as tall as the first slat there. So these under here, there's a sucker, there's a branch. You can even see the difference in the color. So you see it's trying to grow a whole nother tomato plant on that sucker, and I don't want that. I'm going to cut both of these off. I'm going to take that sucker off. I think I'm actually going to put this sucker in water because this is a nice healthy sucker. So I think I'm actually going to take this one and try and grow it to another tomato plant. So I just wanted to show you as you're going along, prune, weed. Don't be afraid to cut them back. You're training your tomatoes on how you want them to grow, where you want the branches to be producing. Anything too low, your tomatoes are going to rot because they're going to be touching the ground. So you want them high so they don't rot as they touch the ground. So, and oh look, my indeterminate. Okay, so this is cool. As I'm cutting the indeterminate, I can create more indeterminates too. So once that one gets big enough to get some suckers off of, I'll definitely be planting that along this fence because I want lots of indeterminate tomatoes because they will live until the next frost. They don't have live-by dates, expiration dates or whatever like all of these do. Indeterminates grow. So if you see a tomato plant that says indeterminate, it's going to grow from frost to frost. And there's my hay because I'm going to be putting that out for my melons here soon. So anyway, I hope you guys have a blessed day. I'm going to try getting some of these suckers and some water in time to get a good another plant going off of them. And hey, maybe one of you will be the recipient of said plant. Have a great day. Bye.